Hey, we're back.
We're back.
We finally had a Moida.
We have, haven't we? And you have you done any more reflecting?
I haven't spent a lot because this is like the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been recording a lot this weekend, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to ruminate over it yet. My thoughts right now have mostly been about like why the curse narrative is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because this comes about with intention, right? It's important to someone or some group of people that this happens every year and that this curse narrative continues. So, completely, like, if it was just about killing people, they could do that whenevs, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a convenient fiction for them to hide behind, but that's one reason why they'd want the curse narrative to continue, right?
There's one theory that was brought up in one of the police reports that the curse was important to get the folks who didn't oppose the dam in line. Even if you don't agree with us politically, if you think we were in the wrong to fight against the dam, well, the town god is against you, and awful things are happening to the people who disagree, and you better be normal like the rest of us.
Yeah, and that's like a really good starting point. I think it'll I don't know if that's what it'll actually be, but like that's coming at it from the right angle. Like, why does someone or some group of people need folks to believe that this curse is real? Is it to keep people in line? Is it to give cover for other murders? Or is there a different reason why it's important that this curse be real?
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming at, asking that question, the question we have to ask is not just who stands to benefit from Tomatake dying, but who stands to benefit from the people continuing to believe that the curse is happening and that they could be susceptible to it at any point, right? I kind of agree with the police on the first steps here of it seems like a way to keep people in line who fear the curse, but I don't know. Given that's also we're in chapter 1 of however many, feels like that might be a little bit too early. It's the right angle, I feel, to look at it. But anyway, yeah. So that's where my brain's at right now.
Good to know.
Yeah, let's go ahead and continue on. Ugh, sleepy. I feel that.
Whoa, that was a really big yawn, Keiichi-kun.
I'm usually awake once it's time to eat, but
so cool.
It doesn't look like I can do it today.
I can't yawn that big.
What do you mean? How big can you yawn?
Only about this big.
Okay, just try. Open it up wider. Just go like.
So cute.
I don't get what's cute about that. You have it's disgusting. I was watching TV until late last night, so I'm kind of tired right now.
Was one of those raunchy TV shows you loved so much on last night?
How extremely vile!
Hey, don't jump to conclusions.
It's perfectly normal for boys. Nothing to be ashamed about.
Why do you talk like you're 30? Rika not patting my head only made me feel worse. The withholding of the pats. Oh, no. Could you just let me pass out for this lunch break, please? No, seriously.
My. You think that I would just sit here and allow for that?
They'll get really angry if you disturb me. Really angry. This was just dreadful. Just so sleepy. I slumped my head onto the desk and drifted off into an afternoon nap. Seems Sadako had responded, but I pretended not to hear.
Cut it out, Sadako-chan. Keiichi-kun fell asleep. Oh, Keiichi-kun fell asleep. His sleeping face. So cute. You can take him home later. Let him be for now. Let's move over there. It'd be rude to Keiichi if we bothered him now.
Oh, how nice of them. Rika-chan really is a good girl.
I figured out how to identify it. Usually when something starts with an ellipsis, it's Rika, but not always, but usually. Also, I love that we're back in ellipsis mode.
Yeah, you missed it, didn't you?
Let's not wake him up even if the teacher comes back.
I take that back. The excuse I didn't sleep much last night because I was watching TV was a lie. I was in bed at the usual time, but because of the conversation with Oishi-san that afternoon, I didn't get much sleep. Just spending the day like this, it's almost as if the incident with Tomatake-san didn't happen at all. Made me think, was Oishi-san just trying to deceive me? I mean, it was probably the truth. One thing was certain. I couldn't speak to anyone about it.
How could you ever distrust someone with air conditioning?
Right? I mean, remember, the cops can lie to you.
Air
don't know if that's
conditioning
how it
doesn't
works
lie.
in Japan. Air conditioning doesn't lie, that's true. I mean, TBH, the last group they saw him with was those kids, right? I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if the kids are the ones actually under suspicion of the Moida.
Yeah.
He wanted my assistance, but I really didn't know anything about it. If I knew I wasn't going to be of any help, I probably wouldn't have listened in the first place. It ended up with me again, regretting learning something I didn't need to know. If I never learned about it, I would, without a doubt, be goofing off with the rest of them right now. I couldn't help but resent Oishi-san for this.
Huh? When was that? I heard he wasn't there the next day. It appears he vanished the night of the Watanagashi.
Mion whispered to keep the others from listening, but I could hear it clearly. On the other hand, Rena's voice was even harder to pick up, but I could still tell that she was quite upset. Couldn't be. Are they talking about Tomatake-san?
Itake? Not sure. That's all I know.
I would have to feign ignorance about this topic because I needed to keep it a secret. Rather than waking up and being forced to lie to join the conversation, it was much easier to just sit here and pretend I was asleep and listen in. Why did I have to pretend to be asleep while eavesdropping on my friend's conversation? The guilt stung.
So, and me, there are others, right? Too. But they don't know if it's from the curse or if this was an Onikakushi.
Onikakushi? Onikakushi? To be hidden away by a demon? Isn't that the title drop?
It is. That's the
To be
title of the
spirited away by a
chapter.
demon. Or if it was
To be demoned away.
So they're talking about it as if it was so they're talking about it as a noun, as in like a common occurrence.
A thing that they've got a word
A
for.
thing that happens enough that they got a word for it. What a mysterious phrase. I did, however, get the feeling it meant nothing good.
There was another, right? Right? If it's Oyashiro-sama's, yeah. But this here, at all? Grandma and the mayor had talked about it. Seems they talked to the police about it beforehand. They said they'd take care of whatever happens this year without causing a commotion. Then, without us knowing it, someone had... them, you mean? Maybe. Next could... me? I wonder. Don't worry, you got home safely. But... is... not allowed, right? That was a long time ago. Let's stop talking about this.
Amidst the uncomfortable mood, both of them went silent. Entirety of the conversation was still a bit unclear, but a few parts caught my attention. First of all, the term onikakushi. To be demoned away. By context, it was used in... I guess it's similar to being spirited away. I suspected that was what it meant because Tomatake-san and that woman, really bugged me that I didn't know her name, vanished after the Watanagashi. We learned her name from the police report, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it again?
Takano Mio.
Huh?
Takano Mio.
Takano Mio. Thank you. The next thing that stuck out was when Rena said, "There's another one, right?" Mion also said, "If it's Oyashiro-sama's, yeah," responding to something. If it's Oyashiro-sama's curse, then there had to be two victims. Is that what she meant? Think of it, I remember Mion saying at the beginning that they didn't know if it was from the curse or if it was a case of Onikakushi. Okay, but you also only heard part of the conversation, dude. You don't have full context here. I know you picked out some key phrases and you're very smart for doing that, but also, you only have incomplete context. Seems the curse and the being demoned away are different things, and they were phenomena that were paired together. I recalled Tomatake-san's terrible end. That wasn't something as elegant as disappearing. That horrendous end would be best described as cursed. And the woman with him, it means she vanished because she was demoned away? What I do know is that there's normally an even number of victims of the curse proper. The last point that bothered me was Rena. That is true, it's usually 2 per year, right?
Yeah.
Except for that one year where it was just a woman that was right? There was 1 year that was just a woman who was assaulted.
Yep, last year, and who was found on Watanagashi.
And yeah, right, she was found on that day. So that's the one that's kind of like, does that really fit? But yeah, it's pairs than the other ones. Last point that bothered me was Rena. She was frightened. For what reason, I didn't know. However, she knew that something had made her a potential target for Oyashiro-sama's curse. Did she? There were some words in there that seemed to mean that, but also a whole lot of sentence missing, so... I mean... I don't think we know that. If I recall correctly, Oyashiro-sama should be the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. Then a guardian deity supposed to defend the citizens and drive out invaders? If I recall correctly, yesterday Ooshi-san said that the originally targets were enemies of the village. But recently there was no longer any distinction between them or regular outsiders. If that's the case, then I would think that I'd be the more likely target, having moved here more recently than her. From her composure, I could infer that she was grimly certain that she would be next. I should probably relay what I just heard now to Ooshi-san. Informing the police of what I heard by eavesdropping on my friends while pretending to be asleep made me feel terrible. Yeah, but again, if the conspiracy is as bad as you think it is, they already know. They've had time. Maybe the moment you came back, they didn't have time for the teacher to tell them what was up. But if it's really as big as you suspect it is, this town-wide conspiracy, then the moment you left school after talking to the police, they had a chance to catch everyone up and get their stories straight. So, you're not even being a good paranoid. If you really are playing this, you should be more paranoid. This is not... Is it weird that that's what I'm getting hung up on?
You're not paranoid enough, Keiichi. Distrust your friends more.
No, I'm saying, if he's going to be paranoid, you're not actually being paranoid. You're just picking and choosing what you want to be paranoid about. Raised a few questions and left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Would it be better not to seek the answers to those questions? As I continued to learn more and more, it felt like I had fallen past the point of no return. I would definitely regret this one day. I would definitely regret ever having learned of these events.
The teacher approaches. Keiichi-san, you must awaken.
In the distance, I could hear the ring of the handbell signaling the start of afternoon classes. Ugh, I couldn't sleep at all. I hastily opened my eyes and raised my head up. It was in that moment when I leaned against the back of my seat. Ugh! Oh, that was probably Sadako. There was a thumbtack stuck on the back of my chair with tape. Circumstantial evidence was enough. Sadako! Guilty without trial. Capital punishment. I furiously jumped up from my seat. I tripped as my feet were tangled up. My shoelaces had been tied together. Not bad, Sadako. While I was sleeping, you were able to conceal your presence and able to pull off this fine piece of work. The teacher came in right as I was about to pull off my shoes and tackle her.
Did you not notice that our teacher has arrived, Keiichi-san? Take your seat.
Clomp, clomp, whoosh, whiff. Not caring one bit, I made her eat a flick to the forehead.
Ow! Ah! Keiichi-san's being mean again.
Hey,
don't pick on the younger kids, my Maebara. Apologize to her.
I saw Sadako stick out her tongue at me. That little brat.
Come on, my Maebara.
Yeah, I'll apologize. I'm sorry, Sadako-san. In any case, I apologized, even if it was in a completely insincere tone of voice. Damn her, I'll remember this.
Kei-chan, get your revenge at the club meeting. Take your seat.
I sat down after Mion told me to. She'd switched to class representative mode. With the boring classes finished, school was finally over for the day. Now then, what would we do for our club today? Personally, I'd like to play that deduction game one more time. I was hardly able to play it last time because of Ooshi-san. Rena and I weren't even able to test out our strategy.
That's right. Today, Keiichi-kun and I will be victorious.
What should we do? We never played the same game 2 days in a row before.
Why not try asking me?
Mion looked over her shoulder as we made eye contact. She slowly tapped her palm with her fist as her face suddenly lit up.
Oops, I completely forgot. I need to go help my uncle today. Sorry guys, not today.
Helping your uncle? Aren't you a little goody two-shoes?
Sorry, really. I really did forget. Well then, sorry guys. This old man is heading back home now.
Her uncle. Okay. Has she mentioned her uncle before?
There's an uncle with a clothing shop, I think.
Her uncle with a
But I don't know if it's that same uncle or a different one.
The uncle with the... Oh, that they bought the uniforms from?
Yeah. That was an uncle, right?
That was an uncle?
I feel like it was an uncle. It was a relative.
It was a relative. Okay, but she's got an uncle who's got to go help out today. Fair
Lots
enough.
of people have uncles.
Mion left us with that and rushed off to the exit after snatching up her bag. Did she? I guess she must... Now I'm being paranoid. Like, did she forget? She was all like, hey, save it for club meeting later. And then she's like, oh, wait, hold on. I gotta go.
You see, Mi-chan, she sometimes goes to help out at her uncle's shop in town.
I thought she wasn't the type to get caught up in such bothersome stuff. What's her uncle's shop?
She said that she gets paid for it. It's quite a bit of spending money from what I hear.
I see. She was able to pay for that mountain of games with what she saved up from there. But, wouldn't you call that a part-time job? Isn't that against school policy?
There's a clause that states family businesses are excluded.
And also, you shouldn't be a snitch.
It also excludes religious duties.
I was gonna say.
I've been working since I was 5.
I don't know quite what the context of, like, how much work is expected from Rika, but... yeah, she is a child, and holding down a full-time religious position.
I'm a whole-ass priest by now.
Again, the only thing that's making me that is making it so I'm not actively worrying about that is I have no context for how much that requires from her.
Yeah.
Like, is this just a thing where, like, you know, she's doing something every time there's a festival and that's it? Or is it this is something that she has to live and is getting no recompense for?
What if the reason she's the oddly mature one who gives straight answers to everything unlike everybody else is because she just has to go home and hear confessions like 2 hours a day before holding service and so on.
Right?
We don't know.
She's sitting in the confessional booth being like, I'm 5. Not 5. She's like, how old is she again?
I think grade schooler, I
Grade
think.
school rebel.
But I don't know exactly how old.
Is that what she's calling it? So what now? Pass on the club today?
So we're done today, I guess.
Wouldn't it be fine even without the club president? Let's do this! Well, then it's just 2 of us beating up on 2 grade school kids. I opened the club locker and began searching for the deduction game from that ever-growing pile of games. Aha, here it is, the deduction game from yesterday. And to stop just as I was getting the hang of it. At the very least, I want to repay Sadako for what she did during the afternoon break.
I do not mind. But is that fine for Rena-san and Rika?
If Keiichi-kun wants to so badly, I wouldn't mind playing for a bit. I think it's better if we do it when we have everyone together.
And she says it like that. Oh, is this still Rika?
Is it? Maybe.
It's not... Or is it Sadako? Huh, because this ain't Keiichi.
It's not? Okay. I wanted to go shopping if there wasn't a club meeting today. Going to buy soy sauce and other things.
Oh, that's right! I completely forgot!
Well, I guess since it's been a while, I should go treasure hunting.
What's this now? Everyone was no longer in the mood for club activities. I kept on trying to push the matter. It may make them realize I had a trick up my sleeve. I'll give up this time. Really looking forward to it. Oh well. Shuffle through the cards as if I was still caught up on it.
The next opportunity, I shall give you a sound thrashing.
The murderer is Sadako. The murder weapon is the pistol. It was you after all.
What did you say? Then I'll just...
Sadako looked through the cards on the desk and stuck out 3 of them at me.
The murderer is Keiichi. In the lounge with the rope.
I don't need no rope. I'll just strangle you like this.
No! Keiichi-san is such a beast!
Whew. Well, I guess it's good that I got that out of my system.
Ah! I'll remember this, Keiichi-san!
She was used as a plaything for quite a while. How unfortunate. Cute.
Everyone got ready to go back home. I also helped gather up the scattered cards. I suddenly paused. They were just the suspect cards, but I noticed something strange. Rena, Sadako, Rika, Keiichi, Mion, Satoshi. Satoshi? Not all the cards were made by us. Or at least every card besides this one has the name of a club member. Does this mean that this Satoshi fellow is a member? Was there someone in the class named Satoshi? I couldn't find anyone named Satoshi on the class roster stuck up on the wall.
Keiichi-kun, let's hurry and finish cleaning up.
Being rushed by Rena, I finished up quickly. Sadako and Rika-chan had already headed merrily for their lockers, so we were the only ones left in the classroom. Right now, Rena had already gotten her bag and was ready to leave. Hey, Rena, there must be quite a few people who transfer from this school, right? I tried asking her in a bit of a roundabout way. She made a troubled face and then answered.
Yeah, Hinamizawa is a rural town, right? Some people transfer out every now and then.
Then is Satoshi another one of those transferees, or what?
Sorry, I don't really know.
There was a bit of a pause, but the answer was pretty much immediate. I think this is still her.
I'm not saying it to be mean. Just last year, I transferred in, so maybe I just missed him. So I didn't hear much about him. Sorry.
But you know it's a him. I guess it's a, male name. Okay. But she knows who is being discussed, even if doesn't know much specifics.
I don't know. I definitely don't know much.
Yep.
Because I probably just missed him. Wow, it sure seems like I have a lot of specific knowledge about this guy I don't want to talk about.
About this guy, Satoshi. Hear me out. Hear me out. Trans Rena.
Hey! I love this theory. I love this theory.
She
Let's
doesn't
roll
want
with
to talk
it.
about Satoshi because why would you dead name her, you dick?
Exactly.
I'm not sure. Sorry. Her answer was a lot like when she refused to tell me about the murder at the dam. I was saddened by her denial and felt a little bit of anger. I'm their friend, aren't I? Friends don't keep secrets from their friends, do they? Though I do appreciate that they kept unsettling curse thing from me, but if everyone's worried about it, I'd rather be worried with them. That's what it means to be friends, right? For a moment, I wondered just what kind of face I was making, and then, with these mixed feelings of sadness and annoyance.
Keiichi-kun, you're making a scary face. Why is it? Why?
It's probably exactly the kind of face Rena said it was. Feared my grim expression had frightened her. Oh, sorry, I was just really looking forward to the club today, so feeling a little down about it is all. I rustled Rena's hair. Let's go home. Dragging that awkward mood with us, we headed home. I wonder why. Why have I been getting this dumb feeling lately? I didn't know anything. I had nothing to worry about. I was just enjoying my everyday life. My long, outstretched shadow gave no answer to my naive inquiry. Also, they don't like talking about Rena's legal name. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it would make sense, Satoshi disappears and Rena transfers in.
Yep.
And
yeah, all I'm saying is that it totally makes sense.
She's worried about being targeted by the curse because she's trans, and that's weird in this little village where she's the only trans person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that it makes perfect sense.
It does. Keiichi-kun, are you tired, maybe? Maybe?
Rena timidly questioned the reason behind my mood. I'm sure my expression made the situation even more unsettling. You think so?
Yeah, you seemed to have been a little out of it ever since this morning. Maybe a cold?
Physically, I was pretty sure I was in perfect health. It may not seem like it, but I've had perfect attendance since elementary school. Rena continued on since I didn't give her an answer.
It could be that the fatigue from moving has finally caught up to you. It's completely different from where you used to live, after all. Of course you've gotten tired, since there's so much you need to get used to and remember.
Ugh, maybe that's it.
Yeah, it has to be. Rena was also like that at first, too. I can tell, you know? You know?
I wondered if Rena also experienced the slight bit of alienation last year that I was feeling right now. Thinking so, I felt that she was the only one who could understand how I felt. I'd like to hear about when you first came to Hinamizawa. How was it? Feeling I'd been drawn into the conversation, her face suddenly brightened.
It was the same as Keiichi-kun. I didn't know the villagers' names at all. Michan and the rest were all very kind, so I wasn't lonely, but I did still feel a little out of place.
Rena told me all the details of when she had moved here, all of her first acquaintances and surprises, worries and good times. So, Sadako got you too?
Yeah, there was a thumbtack put on my chair. Poke. Then with that, Yeah, that really takes me back.
When were you invited into the club? The first day?
Nah, there wasn't a club at the beginning. It was formed partway through. One day, she said we should stay after and hold a big game tournament.
Gonna think of it, Mion did say she was the first club president. Now I get it.
This is a secret, but Michan used to be really bad at the beginning. She'd never win.
Huh? Mion, really? Can't even imagine that.
She had to do most of the penalties that she came up with. Seriously, don't tell.
I can't believe Mion was like that. So she gradually transformed into a monster who used any means necessary to win during that time. Mion is at her best when she's fighting dirty, I suppose. She doesn't... Okay. Yep.
I began making more friends besides Michan after that, but yeah, it might have only been since you moved here that I had finally felt like I had gotten used to it here.
I guess Rena had also been left in the dark about Oyashiro-sama when she had just moved here. So when they finally told me about Oyashiro-sama, I'd be considered one of them. I wonder when I'll finally be considered one of them.
Huh? Did you say something?
Oh, no, sorry, just talking to myself.
Keiichi-kun, you're silly.
Rena was poking fun and laughing at me, and I couldn't help but laugh as well. I do want to note in her history, she only mentions Mion by name. Saying that she made other friends after.
Mm-hmm.
So that is consistent with her being at school before, like, many years ago, and starting that club before, like, Sadako or Rika would have been there. She could be telling the truth but eliding details. But I suddenly stopped. And then after making up my mind, I spoke. Hey, Rena. Is there something that everyone is keeping from me?
Huh? No, not at all.
You're lying, aren't you? Rena suddenly stopped. Her expression was cold and intense.
What do you mean by that, Keiichi-kun?
Her expression was cold and intense. Can we see what her updated sprite looks like?
Yeah, this isn't very cold or intense.
Yeah, I want to see if they... this is one of the limitations of the old sprites, is that they don't have quite as much variety to them. I want to see if there's a different one for the updated sprite.
I'm just worried.
Yeah, it's the same general vibe. Okay. Her tone was still the same cheery and light-hearted one as before. You are, aren't you? You're keeping something from me. After understanding what I meant, her expression grew even more intense. Seeing that face, I regretted saying something so rash, but she came back at me in a way I didn't expect.
Well then, Keiichi-kun, aren't you keeping something from us?
Huh? Her tone didn't change, but it was the first time I'd seen this expression from Rena. Her eyes went wider and... Okay, hold on. I do want to see updated sprites for this one. Yeah, okay, here we go. There we go. There's the wide eyes take warning, right? With how her gaze pierced through me, I couldn't believe this was the same Rena.
Aren't you? Lies are secrets, aren't you?
You are. Secrets. She didn't actually say that part, but she looked as if she did. The incident with Tomatake-san and how I felt alienated from the group. Even without having to think about it, there were things I knew that I felt guilty about, but I didn't tell everyone about what happened with Tomatake-san, to be considerate. I was keeping it a secret just the same way they didn't tell me about Oyashiro-sama. Then aren't we even? No, I'm not. No lies, nor secrets.
Liar.
Her answer was instant, and it shook me. Rena stared as if burrowing through me, watching me like a hawk. And why would you say that I'm lying?
Didn't you say that you were called into the teacher's room yesterday during the club meeting, Keiichi-kun? I know. You didn't go to the teacher's room.
I swallowed hard. It clearly wasn't a bluff. She knew what happened.
The teacher said you had a guest, didn't she? But you didn't talk at the entrance. You talked inside of the car, near the school gate, with some man we don't know.
Rena knew everything. See, I told you if you're going to be paranoid, you have to be properly paranoid. You can't half-ass paranoia. If you're going to be paranoid, make sure you're rigorous about it. She knew that I was called out by Oishi-san, and that I heard about the incident with Tomatake-san as well. Did she know all of it?
Exactly who was that man?
I don't know him.
Why did someone you don't know have business with you?
I want to know that myself.
Then what did you talk about?
It has nothing to do with you guys. It was a lie.
Lies.
Oh, shit. Angry Rena, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Look at her. Fucking furious. Rena's scream echoed through the trees, sending frightened birds into the air. I couldn't exhale the deep breath I had just taken. No, it was like I wasn't allowed to exhale. It was here I first realized the person in front of me. She wasn't Rena Ryugu. Then who was it that was standing before me now? Who had assumed Rena Ryugu's appearance? I held my breath for so long I could feel myself suffocating.
Right?
And then she made a facial expression that Rena normally might have made. It didn't matter that it was Rena's usual smile. It chilled me to the bone. She drew closer to me. I felt her breath against my face. It wasn't the least bit exciting. Whoever this was with Rena's face was going to chew my nose right off. I cowered as I imagined that. And then she smirked, as if she was able to see right through me.
We also have secrets, just like how Keiichi-kun has secrets.
It was Rena's usual smile, but her eyes were still like that of a hawk's. Bringing her face close enough to mine to almost bump into my nose, she kindly persuaded me. I couldn't nod or shake my head. This person standing in front of me, this person who looked like Rena, frightened me to my core. I was terrified knowing that she could hear the sound of me swallowing nervously. After what felt like an eternity, after a long, empty silence, she finally spoke.
Let's go. It's getting chilly.
It was Rena again. Smiling at me once more, she started walking as if nothing at all had happened. I noticed her eyes got that like glowy thing on them that I noticed on Sadako's.
Yeah, huh?
I wonder if they're meant to imply like, oh, Oyashiro is assuming control of this person and
Assuming direct control.
Right. Is that the vibe I meant to be taking here?
Maybe.
It's another fiction that could conveniently be held up if you had an entire village of people there just to kind of back you up on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Occasionally the village deity possesses someone and they go do some stuff and we don't ever talk about it.
Right, because why would you? You do like just the village deity comes and possesses some stuff, and sometimes people die, but because we all know it's a thing that happens, we've all got each other's backs, so we're never going to say a word about it. It makes perfect sense. And then that also gives a reason why it's important that the fiction of it continues. But also the knowledge that everyone is, if any one person has a single doubt about it, they can be like, we all have the knowledge that this is just people doing this at the end of the day, people who have their own motives and decisions. So they can say it's Oyashiro's curse or Oyashiro possessing them and doing whatever they want. But still doing it to the means that they want as individual people.
Mm.
And that can create friction within the in-group still.
Interesting.
Yeah. And of course, in the narrative, we're seeing a bit of a dramatic version of that with the glowing eyes, take warning stuff. Although I don't think that explains why Sadako is constantly... She's just constantly pissed.
That's why the constant setting traps... The constantly setting traps for Keiichi.
Yep.
It's intended to just kill him.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It's just not working because she's too small. She's too small to get the real lethal stuff yet.
She's a tiny little child.
But eventually she'll get him.
I don't know. I think I think that's a good first stab at it for like what this could look like.
Okay.
I think that's a good first stab for like how things might play. Like if I was creating a scenario like this, how that would play out, how the incentives would work to make sure that no one has an incentive to talk about it, but also it still naturally creates friction. And also Rena is trans on top of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
I will die on this hill. When I was released from her gaze, my legs gave out from under me and I slumped onto the ground.
Teehee.
I wasn't able to lift a finger until Rena was out of sight. Who was that? I felt cold. My body was drenched in sweat. I was finally able to form a coherent thought and ask myself once again, who was that person who looked like Rena Ryugu? Teehee. The cool thing is that version of events also has there's also like a built-in reason for people to want to keep it around as well, because that is a convenient fiction for getting rid of genuinely problematic elements. Like if it turns out some of these victims were like actually being like legitimately abusive or something like that, or like there was someone in the community who there was no way you could touch with the normal justice system. It could be a cover for vigilante.
Yeah, think about it. If it's like 1600s era Japan, you're living in a rural farming village in the middle of the mountains, and there's some dude who's just a drunk jackass abusing people's wives and daughters and so on.
Yep.
And you can't expect the prefectural constable or whoever to ride over 2 weeks from the nearest town to go render justice. So you all just...
But this is
you find a way to deal with it, and you pass down the way to deal with it. It could be that.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's not the 1600s now.
It's not.
It's
old habits die hard, though.
Yeah. I legitimately think that like that's I'm not so conceited as to think I've gotten this right, but I think this is I think I've got a good firm idea of what the shape of this might look like to kind of start branching out from and molding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've set the first thing of this in clay, and now I can start molding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was out of it and couldn't bring myself to do anything until dinner, except stare blankly into space. Was I terrified from Rena going off on me? No, that's not quite right. That was someone else who only looked like Rena. Then who could it have been? It also gives if Rena's trans, that also gives a really interesting double meaning to all this talk of like, that's not Rena, it's just someone who looks like Rena. It was a dreadful feeling, knowing that was someone else, not Rena. So tomorrow I shouldn't have a problem talking to her like I usually do, but that thought was strangely comforting. I concluded that I should just calm down and clear my head, though those thoughts continued swirling around my mind. Finally, I returned to my senses as I heard my mother calling out to me from the bottom of the steps.
Keiichi, it's a call from the bookstore.
Bookstore? Can't think of why they'd be calling me. Can I sidebar real quick?
Yeah.
It actually reminds me of my most surreal moment working at a bookstore.
Yeah.
Whenever someone would order a book, we'd call them when it arrived and be like, hey, your book is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just standard procedure. I had a book with that once, and I called and got this old lady. I'm like, hey, your book's here. And she's like, great. Could you tell me if you have this other stuff in stock? And then we had this normal conversation where I was like, wait, this is just a normal customer service call. And she's like, yeah, I called the bookstore. Like, I was trying to find some books. And I'm like, did I call you at the same time you were trying to call us? She legitimately thought that she had called us to find stuff to buy, and
that's fantastic.
And I was like, it was the most surreal conversation. All right, it was so strange.
Did I ever complain about my surreal ones?
No! Tell me about your surreal bookstore calls. This is the only time we'll ever get to do that. So
these ones didn't happen so much in my bookstore era because I was terrified of phones then and did my best to avoid it and sucked at phone calls.
Reasonable.
But later in my customer service era, my one consistent problem was people who would insist that I was the robotic answering machine recorded voice and who would then, like, even after I explained to them, no, I'm a person
Mm-hmm.
at this location and I'm calling, how can I help you?
Yep.
They would then try and trick me and trip me up to prove that I was the robocall and not a person, and be like, what's the weather outside right now? And like, oh, so if you're not a robot, then like spell this word for me.
Really?
Or-
and
yeah.
this was before the AI boom.
And this was before, so it was when it was obviously didn't make any sense.
yeah.
And then some people would get amazed by it. Some people would insist all throughout they didn't believe it and then get confused when they came into the store and they'd be like, yeah, I tried to call and I just got this robot. And I'd be like, no, you were talking to me and you still are. How can I help you? But other folks would just get mystified by it and be like, that's wild. They must have you record all the stuff then nationally, because you're the same voice that I hear when I call the national line and you're the same voice that I hear when I call, oh shit, I just said where? The store.
It's all right. I'll bleep it out.
And it's like, no, every single one of those is a completely different voice. And the ones for the store were recorded by my huge, deep voice used to sing for a metal band's assistant manager. And the ones for the national line were some random voiceover lady. And everyone was insisting, no, that can't be the case. Like, why would you be weird about this? Like, it's clearly you.
I'm not being
It's
weird
like, I'm
about
not
this.
being weird about this.
You
I
were
don't
the
know.
one-
You're being weird. How can I help you? Oh my God.
Oh my god. In other news, my wife can't pass the Turing test.
I know. I cannot pass the Turing test. It bugs me so much.
Oh man. I went downstairs and picked up the receiver anyway.
I wonder who this is.
Oh, my apologies for calling so late at night. It's me, Ooishi of the Okinomiya Bookshop. Ooishi-san. Oh, it's Ooishi-san. I'm sorry, since your parents picked up, I said it was from the bookstore. Puts people off when I say I'm a police officer. Ooishi-san was, in his own way, rather courteous. Even so, I didn't want my parents hearing me talk to the police. I brought the cordless phone with me as I dashed back up to my room on the second floor. Ooh, cordless phone. Fancy.
Did cordless phones exist in the 80s?
That's a great question.
I feel like
Because
cordless...
I had a corded phone, like, through most of my childhood.
Yeah.
We didn't get a cordless phone until, like, near turn of the millennium. I would believe that they existed, but, like...
When did those start being a thing, I wonder? This
Yeah.
is not that important.
It's
we can
really
keep
not.
going, but...
But, like, I would believe they existed before that. Like, they existed in the 80s. It's just...
And come to think of it, Japan was ahead of us on phone tech.
Yeah, like, that's the other part of it, is that Japan is, like, there are sectors of tech that Japan absolutely it has us whipped in. So it's like... I would absolutely believe... I don't have a problem believing that this was a cordless phone in the 80s.
Interesting. They totally were.
Huh. I bet they were super unreliable.
They were first developed in the 60s,
Really?
but back then they were not much of a thing. It took until the early 80s for it to be reliable enough and
Got it.
affordable enough for mass adoption.
I stand corrected. Okay. That's... Today I've learned. Thank you.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Anyway, this concludes Vivian Reed's Wikipedia hour.
Thanks. Sorry for calling so late. That phone number on the piece of paper I gave you yesterday was the old number. My apologies. Can you copy down the number I'm about to give you? Yeah. All right. He gave me the number for his direct line as I wrote it down. I thought that was the end of it, but he began making pointless small talk, and it was pretty hard to hang up. God, remember that? Remember when, like, phone discipline was just different? And it was so hard to get off the line with some people? It still is, but also nowadays people are more comfortable just being like, I got to go.
Yep.
It's easier to lie about, like, oh, I'm in the middle of something because I'm on my cell phone. You know what I mean?
As opposed to when everyone, like, they know that since you've answered, you're at home sitting next to the telephone
Right.
and you don't have anything else you're doing.
Exactly, which means you're trapped. So how's it been, Maebara-san? Did anything strange happen recently? I see, this was the real reason. He really beat around the bush there. His adult conversational skills left me slack-jawed. Are you from around here, Oishi-san? Yeah, I am. Born and raised in Okinomiya. He's from around here. He might know. Oishi-san. Do you know what this onikakushi thing is about? Huh. I believe that's when someone suddenly just vanishes because they've been abducted by some demon. It's a special saying from around these parts. Has the same meaning as spirited away like everyone else says. You know, like that Studio Ghibli film. Everyone loves Studio Ghibli. Whereas my friends would say that they didn't know when I asked, this older man gave me a direct answer. It made me a bit happy that he answered me directly without trying to hide anything. Hinamizawa was, I ain't sure if I should be telling you this, Maebara-san. Oh, don't try to play this off. If you're not gonna talk, then I'm not gonna tell you anything. No, that ain't what I meant. It's just, may make you feel a little bad, that's all. You see, long ago, Hinamizawa was as feared as the village where demons reside. Demons, huh? And by demons you mean those, pitchfork-carrying things in hell? Nah, more like human-eating monsters. They'd go down to villages and snatch up people and gobble them down, that kind of tale. Demons snatching up people is what this onikakushi really means. Okay, so spirited away by demons is the polite phrasing of it, but it's meant to imply, nom 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 nom. At least in this historical version of the... They said the curse and being demoned away happened together. Oh. They say the curse and being demoned away happened together. What does that mean? I already knew about the mysterious deaths happening 5 years in a row. I didn't know there were people disappearing for those same 5 years. The curse and being demoned away happened together? First time I heard of that. Is that how it is, Maebara-san? That's what I want to know. I heard Rena and Mion talking. Said if it really was Oyashiro-sama's curse, then both the curse and demoning away could happen again. Oishi-san began hemming and hawing on the other end of the receiver. Maybe something about that came to mind. Maebara-san, do you know about that first incident? The murder by dismemberment? Yeah, I do. One of the 6 perpetrators is still on the run, right? Hypothetically, what if he ain't on the run but was just demoned away? Huh? It was an outrageous hypothesis from Oishi-san. The incident 4 years ago was the particularly ghastly one. Police already knew the perpetrator, so they posted tons of wanted posters with his face on them. Staked out various locations and investigated every possible escape route he had, but after 4 years, there wasn't even a hint of where he might be. Unless the police were completely incompetent. Even if it was an outrageous hypothesis, I couldn't simply laugh it off. Then what about the incident of the next year when the man who supported the project and his wife both died in an accident? Well, actually, it was only the husband who died in an accident. His wife's body would never surfaced. Is that backwards?
Nope.
Right, I had the same confusion last time, didn't I?
Yep, because it was vaguely worded.
It was vaguely worded the
mentioned.
first time. The husband who died, wife never resurfaced. Unless we find the body, then it's considered a missing person by law. At the time of the incident, with the river below the cliff being muddy rapids, the police divers had searched every branch off the main stream of the river for dozens of miles, but in the end, they weren't able to find her body. But that's just them not being able to find the body. She's still dead, right? Isn't it different from her being demoned away? We can't say someone's dead without their body. Until a certain number of years pass, by law, she's treated as still alive. I'm not sure if it was right to call that being demoned away. The wife is missing. At least that part was reality. Oh, the part how long it takes to be declared legally dead. Remember when that was like the crux of one of my arguments for
Yeah.
Mineko? I remember I was like, how can you be both dead and alive? I know! How about the third year, the Shinto priest that died of illness, and his wife committed suicide? Maebara-san. That's actually the exact same scenario. The wife had supposedly thrown herself into the bottomless marsh deep in the forest around Hinamizawa. So it's always the women who go missing
Hmm.
in these cases. So is that case, does that mean that the sixth perpetrator who went missing was also a woman?
Maybe.
I think it said he in all the reports, which
It
is why
did, though.
Yeah.
Dang.
Meaning it's all circumstantial evidence. They simply found her suicide note in front of the marsh. And the woman went missing this year, and Tomatake was murdered and body found. A diver was able to recover a few remnants, but they weren't able to find a body.
Marshes aren't really bottomless.
No.
Right? That's kind of weird.
They weren't able to find a body, but they did recover remnants, so it's not like... What do you mean, remnants? The investigative headquarters believe she faked her death and was still alive somewhere. Okay, yeah. I ain't sure if we can call these cases being demoned away. Just as you said, every year one person does go missing. The incident this year, the woman with Tomatake-san has gone missing. What about the incident with the housewife beaten to death? Who went missing? I believe the perpetrator was caught, right? Yeah, we arrested him. He was just a miscreant with a record of narcotics abuse. Admitted to the crime while being questioned about a different incident. Interesting. But, well, you see, after he was arrested, a child from the victim's home went missing. Still under investigation as to whether the disappearance had anything to do with the crime. But you said you caught him, right? Did he have an accomplice? No idea. It is considered a separate case. Moreover, we can't even check now, because while under investigation, that man died in his holding cell. He swallowed a spork and choked to death. It's not known whether it was an accident or suicide.
Just accidentally swallowed a spork.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
we've all been there. Meaning that for the last 5 years, there's always one person who dies and one who goes missing? That's about right. No, actually, I'm surprised as well. I never realized they had that in common. I couldn't believe this could help lead to the closing of those incidents. Just something they had in common. Could it be those demoned away have something in common? Oh. Could it be that those demoned away have something in common with one another? Oh, Ishi-san mumbled as he seemed to be thinking about it. I like how my accent for Ooishi is just mispronounce every word.
Yeah.
I summarized the events. The first year was the dam employee. Second year was the wife of the dam project supporter. Third year was the wife of the Shinto priest. Fourth year was the victim's family's child. Fifth year was the victim's girlfriend, I guess. Girlfriend? Have we established that they had a romantic relationship?
We haven't, but
But
we
Keiichi
had
is
even
guessing?
speculated. Because there was, like in the police note, it could be jealousy. Like, maybe it's
Right,
a lover's
okay.
spat or something.
There was speculation. Okay.
And like,
I didn't get that vibe from them.
yeah.
I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't get like a boyfriend-girlfriend vibe from them. I got the kind of like
Yeah.
shared interest in something that's happening here and tolerating each other's presence vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem like there's anything that connects them. With the exception of the first year, wives and girlfriends, those do stand out. Does seem like there are a lot. Means the fourth year's victim's child was different. Would really have stood out if we're all married couples, except it's not just married couples, but parents and children as well. Come to think of it, I believe Tomatake-san also told me the younger brother is alive and has moved, if I recall correctly. The child that went missing in the fourth year, who were they? Apparently he was quite mature, 1 year older than you. His name was Satoshi Hojo-san. What was that, fourth year?
What?
Was that fourth year?
Yep.
Right, and then he just changed his name.
Yeah,
And now it goes by Rena, and we'll thank you to not bring up that time in her life.
absolutely. Just conveniently, like, using the demons away as an excuse to quietly vanish and transition.
Right?
That's such a great idea.
It just works.
It just works.
It just works.
Flawless theory.
Satoshi. I remember that name. Didn't they tell me Satoshi transferred out last year? He was at your school up until last year. Didn't they tell you nothing about him? Come to think of it, when I transferred in, I believe they said my seat belonged to a recent transfer student. And where I sat once belonged to the one who was demoned away. It was his seat? Recalled the cold sensation that came from that desk. It made my hair stand on end, the string of mysterious deaths. No, Oyashiro-sama's curse. I now knew how it connected to me. That chilling sensation was the feeling of Oyashiro-sama caressing the back of my neck. Oyashiro-sama's curse, huh? Could it really exist? In all honesty, I was beginning to believe it, and I was scared. That was why I wanted to say it was the plot crafted by a man and not the work of a curse. But the more I dug into it, the less likely that seemed. The more I dug, the more mysterious it became. If I kept digging, eventually, I'd reach the point where I'd learn something I really shouldn't know. To either be none the wiser or to seek an answer I may regret, which one would I be happier with? Maybe it'll be me next time. My execution could only be delayed for 1 year. That's when I remembered. Rena said she may be the next victim of the curse. She didn't. She said a few words with gaps in between them, and you took that to mean that. You mean Rena Ryugu-san? She transferred in last year and she's your classmate, ain't she? These incidents really might be too disturbing for a girl. She ain't just scared, is she? It wasn't just that. She said it might be her next. She said it in a way that made me think she had a concrete reason behind it. It felt like she was convinced, almost as if, could say that she was frightened. Her sudden change in demeanor, that someone who looked like Rena but wasn't Rena, that might be unrelated. All the strange things that I felt from Rena today came back to me. I see, then I'll be doing a bit of investigating on this end here. Please continue your observations of Ryugu-san, Maebara-san. Are you asking me to keep her under surveillance? That ain't what I mean, Maebara-san. I just want you to watch out for your friend so she don't end up the next victim. At that moment, just in my mouth was agape because I was so impressed with his mature, clever way with words. Knock, knock. A sudden knock at the door sent my heart racing. In an instant, I had pointlessly covered up the end of the receiver.
Keiichi, get the door, please.
On the other side of the door, I heard my father's oddly upbeat voice.
Keiichi, get the door, please.
What could it be? It's so late. Sorry, my dad just came in. Can we leave it at that for tonight? Yeah, my apologies again for calling so late. If you find out anything else, please let me know. Tell you if I make any progress on this end. We'll then have a pleasant evening.
Keiichi, hurry and open up. Daddy's got his hands full.
What is Dad doing? I had stayed in the same position while on the phone the whole time, so my joints were aching. When I opened the door, I saw my father was standing there with a tray. On that tray, cookies and 2 cups of black tea. Fairly fancy spread for our household. There's even sugar and lemon slices on the side. Everything you could ask for. Quite the show of hospitality. What's going on, Dad? What's all this for?
Come now, don't play around, Keiichi. I'm coming in.
Dad was in high spirits and had a smirk on his face, but for my entire life, I've never seen him act this hospitable. What had gotten into him?
So, what were you talking about?
I jumped. Not something I had to keep from my father, but how could I explain to him I was talking to a detective, assuming he was, this late at night? Ain't much, just a friend.
I don't mean the phone. She was here, wasn't she? Rena-chan.
Huh? She hasn't been here.
Come now, don't try to keep it from me. She just came over to play. You two were chatting away, so I thought I'd bring some tea, but looks like I just missed her.
I had no idea what he was talking about, but a cold sweat dripped down my back. How long were we talking for?
Rena-chan went upstairs about half after, so it was close to an hour, I guess.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh. And this is a hard one because there's no convenient explanation for this. Ooh, this is tasty. Yeah! Put this shit into my veins. You saw her come up to the second floor?
Yeah, I did. I also told her that your room was the door down the hall up the stairs.
Rena came to my house about an hour ago. Dad met her at the door, called out to me on the second floor. I probably didn't hear him because I was so focused on my conversation with Oishi-san. I didn't reply, but he knew I was in my room, so he had her come inside, then told her my room was on the second floor. She thanked my dad and went upstairs, and then about an hour passed. She passed by my dad just as he was bringing up tea and left. Came upstairs and about an hour passed, then passed by my dad and returned home. She came upstairs, and until she left, where was she? There's only a short hallway between my room and the stairs, meaning Rena had for about an hour in the hall. She couldn't have been standing in front of my door all that time. The door to my room wasn't particularly thick. You could easily hear everything being said inside. All of the ominous things and the nonsense I spoke to Ooishi-san about began rushing through my head.
Honey, don't tease him. More importantly, you need to clean up your studio. It's a mess again.
Mom yelled up at Dad from downstairs. Dad left the tray with me and went downstairs with a disappointed chortle. I followed him out of the room with my eyes, around the floor and the doorway where Rena might have stood all that time. Just now, as I was talking to Ooishi-san, with my back turned, Rena was standing a mere 6 feet away the whole time. All that time in this dimly lit doorway? What did she see? What did she hear? For what reason? As the steam from the 2 teacups ominously wafted and twisted, the aroma of black tea filled my room.
Hey, Kate-chan, I can get into your house whenever I want.
Yeah, but was she really there, or is his dad just being a dick? Because we haven't been given much reason to think highly of Keiichi's father. Is he the kind of dad that would make fun of his son that way?
I don't know. Seems kind of weird.
Seems kind of weird, but we got an achievement called Lies for lying to Rena.
You got
Cool.
a tip?
Notice from the police chief. July 1, 1982. To Departments 1 through 12. Redacted Prefectural Police Headquarters. Director General redacted. To the Chief Constable and all facility managers. Regarding cases situated in the Hinamizawa village, notice. As cases in Shishibone City, Hinamizawa village, have been reported by certain sections of mass media, it has drawn global attention, which is causing serious repercussions for the local residents. This has become a very serious situation. Oh, this whole narrative again. Oh, shit! Stop going forward. I didn't hit... To protect the livelihood and prosperity of the residents, the following notice has been issued. Designate the following criminal investigations as classified. Okonomiya Station 1982 case number X. Hinamizawa Village housewife murder, dated June, redacted. Okonomiya Station 1982 case number X. Hinamizawa Village student disappearance, dated June, redacted. 2. Non-disclosure of information. Okonomiya Station 1979 case number X. Hinamizawa Village site foreman murder, dated June, redacted. Shira Station 1980 case number X. Shira Natural Park falling incident, dated June, redacted. Okonomiya Station 1981 case number X. Hinamizawa Village Shinto priest's wife disappearance, dated June, redacted. Requesting self-restraint from each organization concerning the release of sensitive information. Please see attached reference materials 1, 2, and 3. Management, redacted Prefecture Police Headquarters. Internal line, redacted. Police Affairs Department, redacted.
Seems like even the police want people to shut up about it, huh?
Yeah. I also love that same feeling of small town or local crimes and incident get blown up on the global scale and have again just presaging that whole true crime podcast thing, right?
Yeah?
Oh, we still got time in this, so let's keep going.
All right.
Do we believe Rena was up there, or is Dad just being a dick? Weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start the day.
What's wrong? Keiichi, you don't look so well. When did you go to sleep?
It seemed my mom had noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on waking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. Told myself repeatedly it was my imagination and forced myself to try and sleep. Except not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course, there was no one there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though I was able to get back to breakfast at the table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease.
It might be a cold.
It might be a cold. I don't really have an appetite.
My, you do seem a little warm. Well, can you make it to school?
Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study. Wouldn't matter much if I missed a day, would it? Well, you're also the one teaching Mion and Rena, so it would kind of matter to them. Could have been that I hadn't really been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. I took some medicine and got a good day of rest. I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Ding dong. Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It's 10 minutes later than when I usually met up with Rena. It was probably her.
Rena-chan came to get you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take the day off?
Rena was a good girl. She might be somewhat quirky, but she was certainly cute. Lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Why should I be so scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. Probably mine. I had to have been my cold. Just had to be. I'll rest. I'm sorry.
Then I'll go send her off for you.
Mom headed off to the door. I'd have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet with her, so I wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. I was so sleep-deprived that I quickly fell into a deep slumber. Again, this is just paranoia speaking because from all appearances, we don't know that she was here last night. And his mom was even like, stop making fun of him, dear. And then today she just shows up, like, hey, I haven't seen you. We're supposed to go to school. All she does is want you to stop asking about her dead name. That's all you have to do. I am committed to this bit, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table, I found a lunch prepared and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away, like they had to do with Dad's work. Happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. Probably be back sometime after dinner. On the note, it said, insurance card is in the cabinet, take it and go to the hospital. Also, well-drawn map to the hospital. That's right, I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. Had a light lunch, it really was just leftovers for the morning, and just in case, went to the hospital. Do they know where the hospital is? Yes. Normally, I'd never be here in the middle of a weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. After walking for a bit, the hospital sign came into view. Wasn't there another building we were told was by this hospital?
Maybe.
Was it the other school?
It might have been.
Oh,
The Irie Clinic.
Irie Clinic. Isn't that where we heard that in reference to
We heard it in the tips.
the tips?
About Tomitake's friend, Mio.
Right, this is where Mio was. The doctor. She was a nurse here at the Irie Clinic, right?
She was.
It was written rather stylishly on the side. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. The parking lot and even a reserved spot for buses. They must be making a mint. Spaced out in the air-conditioned waiting room until it was my turn to be seen.
Maebara-san, please make your way to the examination room.
Sure do love socialized healthcare. Imagine showing up without an appointment and getting to see someone. Imagine. After properly answering all the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, probably a cold. Gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. Thought it was a little overboard, but if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I'd been having lately, then it was worth it. I settled the bill and took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people. Seemed to be regulars. Of course, I had no intention of eavesdropping, if it wasn't just for that word.
Must have been a Noni Kakushi.
I wonder, she was still pretty young, might have just eloped.
With whom?
That man from Tokyo who visits every season. Young one with the big camera. Didn't you know they were getting along pretty well?
Talking about Tomitake-san? Right, okay, so they're discussing, Mio. I could feel my ears perking up.
I don't know about that, but you have to make some preparations before you elope. Even know to quit their job or something.
It's an elopement because they didn't leave a note or message.
Thought that I'll never see that young nurse's face again. Makes me rather sad.
Takano-san is an upstanding young woman. She'll be fine wherever she goes.
So her name was Takano-san. That woman with Tomitake-san. And she worked at this clinic? Well, Yashiro-sama's shadow was following me everywhere I went. Started listening more closely, but they began talking about fishing, and it didn't seem like they were going to revisit the topic. I gave up and left. Thus, even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyashiro-sama's shadow. But of course, Oyashiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Maybe it was because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. Might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. That moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Was I really walking so far in the middle of the road where I'd be in a car's way? Moved farther off to the side, but the horn was still honking at me. I turned around, peeved.
Hey, Maebara-san. Good day to ya.
It was Oishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me.
What's up today? School on break?
Just not feeling well. I took the day off. Was about to buy lunch and head back home.
Well, that's great. That's great. I'm just about to get lunch myself. We mind going together? If you ain't feeling up for it, then don't mind me.
I was just going to lie down after going home anyway. Didn't really have a cold. I doubt you want to eat at one of these local places. Oh,
I doubt you want to eat one of these local places, right? Let's go into town. Bit of a drive, is that all right? I know a pretty good place.
I finally begun to understand Oishi-san's roundabout way of saying things. Probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that would be difficult to discuss while here in Hinamizawa. I went with him, riding in his frigid car. It's almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. I imagine AC is a weird thing when you, like, if you had not something you were used to,
Yeah.
right? Just be like, why is it so cold in this box and not anywhere else?
Sorry about calling you for so late last night. Your parents get angry at you?
No. I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated from me by just the door. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thoughts still creep me out. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connecting to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This is where Tomatake-san died.
They hit a snag on the investigation regarding Tomatake-san.
Oishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his eye.
They believed it was caused by hallucinogens, given how he was clawing out his own throat. But a drug that could cause that to happen so suddenly is extremely hard to come by. Bear in mind, of course, the autopsy was done with that premise in mind, but we ain't finding no leads. Yeah, 'cause he didn't. He was hung. Obviously.
Ugh. You know that thing you see in comics all the time? Where there's a drug that if you put it in them, it doesn't leave any traces, Oh, it exists. It's the big suck, as we call it.
The big suck.
Sucking illical? Succinylcal or something or other. Well, pretty common. But you see, there don't seem to be no kind of drug that would cause Tomatake-san to react like that. Then you're just saying the police concluded he died from the curse? Couldn't help but feel that the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be dissociated from Tomatake-san's mysterious death. Unfortunately, that's how it's looking right now. But putting aside the cause of death, without a doubt he was surrounded by a group of people and had taken a beating before he died. That was no curse, but an incident that unquestionably involved other humans. That made me feel a bit relieved. We passed in front of the rather desolate, but still busier than Hinamizawa, train station. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Oishi-san into the shop. It was pretty crowded, but there were only adults at this hour. Of course there wouldn't be children here in the middle of a weekday. 2, please, non-smoking.
This way, please. When you're ready to order, please call me over.
Oh, I didn't do a good voice for it.
That's fine. Imagine eating out at restaurants.
Yeah.
Yep. That was it. End of... We were led by a
peculiarly dressed waitress to our table. I sat with Oishi-san in the booth. Hey now, what you think? All the waitresses' outfits here pretty cute. Well, I guess. Did you bring him to Hooters or something?
Absolutely.
Don't mind me, just a full-grown adult policeman bringing a small child to Hooters.
A cop taking a child to Hooters when he's supposed to be at school. To talk about a case that's top secret and that he's been told not to disclose details of.
Absolutely.
Definitely not sus at all.
Definitely not. The shop here is always quite busy. It's more about the waitresses than the food, you know. Uh-huh. Oishi-san, you're leering. Oh, now am I really? Ain't no crime in looking, is there now? That one felt right. It felt right. Regardless of how the waitresses looked, the food was decent enough. Finishing our meals while talking about some inane topic, Oishi-san's after-meal cup of coffee arrived at the table. Yesterday, we talked about Hinamizawa's past, now didn't we? Yeah, there was the village of man-eating demons or something like that. I ain't know much about it myself, so I asked my grandmother about it this morning. It's like Wikipedia. Oishi-san took out the notepad that was stuffed into his breast pocket. Turns out that Hinamizawa used to be called Onigafuchi, or the Ogre's Abyss. We've heard that before, too.
Yeah, the Onigafuchi Swamp. Or marsh.
Marsh. Okay, that's it survives as the name of the marsh now.
Yeah,
Okay.
the marsh that is rumored to be bottomless and connected to the world of demons.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Onigafuchi, that's quite the name. The name is still around, don't you know? The marsh where the Shinto priest's wife drowned herself is still called the Ogre's Abyss. That the depths of that marsh connect to the realm of the demons. Of course, nobody had told me anything about such an ominous marsh. And you see here, it appears they were both feared and revered. A respect born of fear. I guess you could say it was kind of a deification. A village of inhuman creatures. Seems the demons were senin or mountain-dwelling mystics of sorts. Taking villagers with incurable illnesses into the Ogre's Abyss and healing them, just for example. Even if we are calling them demons, Tengu, long-nosed goblins, or senin would be a more apt description. They don't seem like such terrible people, even though they were called demons, you know. But they were still man-eating demons, according to the story my grandmama told me. As payment for the treating the son's illness, let us eat the mother who brought him here. That was apparently how things went. The price of curing her son was herself. It's unsettling. Of course, the mother took her son and ran. And then, you see, all the people who lived in Onigafuchi, the demons chased them down, rounded them up, and captured them. The entire village, apparently. It's quite a frightening thing to imagine. In the end, it seemed both mother and son were caught and eaten. The end. Hey, what? There's a problem with this story. Both witnesses in the story were eaten, so nobody would be able to tell the tale, right? There are plenty of old fables like this. In contrast to the ghastly tale, Oishi-san laughed heartily while sipping his coffee. But, well, there are quite a few other tales, where the demons from Onigafuchi band together to capture their prey. I recall that Mion said all the villagers united and fought against the dam construction. I saw similarities with how that part about unification overlapped. Normally, they hunted down a single person and chose who it was going to be beforehand. That caught my attention. Oishi-san also appeared to be pondering what that meant. My grandmama told me that you must never interfere with the demon's hunt. Should just hole up in your house and hide under the covers, she's done said. So what's this all mean, then? It means you shouldn't ever help or protect the prey. As long as you don't disturb the demon's hunt, no harm will fall upon the villagers. Seems there's that kind of a rule. Okay. Explains kind of the scene we saw of, like, the cops following the Vic beforehand, right? They're like, oh, we got to keep our hands off. We don't want to... Someone there is a true believer.
Maybe so.
Basically, don't help the victims. Pretend you didn't see the atrocities. In other words, then what happens if you break the rule, huh? Well, the man-eating demons, after all. Many parts of that tale caught my attention. Parts of the story he had told me overlapped with his theory that the perpetrators were all the village families. Even if it wasn't the whole village, it was conceivable that villages were hiding under the covers and leaving them to die when there's a group that was on their hunt, wasn't it? I didn't dare speak it. Then, Oishi-san, I guess it looks like it's either the village families or a group of villagers perpetrating the crimes? What do you think, Maebara-san? Excuse me now. Another cup of coffee, please. That's what I wanted to know. It seemed that we were both waiting for the other to say that last part. I waited for the waitress to finish pouring coffee before speaking. Last year, I done had a nagging feeling when Satoshi-kun disappeared. Oh, Oishi-san muttered as he watched the milk swirl around in his coffee. So those friends of Satoshi-san, meaning your little group of friends there, Maebara-san, I had a bit really just a little bit, okay? A background checking done on them. If Oishi-san had told me this before, I would have been furious since he told me earlier not to suspect my friends, but as I was now, I couldn't. This might sound pretty stupid. Maebara-san, if you feel that it's stupid, please do be saying so. I'll just stop. Oishi-san was wearing the most serious expression that I'd ever seen from him. It was as if he was telling me to prepare myself and listen. There are quite a few things I regretted hearing from Oishi-san. None of them were as threatening as this. A little voice inside of me was screaming like an alarm. Stop, Keiichi. This was probably the last one. I took a deep breath and silenced that voice. I would not run from the truth. Please. That's all I could utter. Oishi-san stared into my eyes silently for a few moments, and after he was certain I was ready, he began. The victim of the incident in the first year was the overseer. A few weeks prior, he had an altercation with Mion Sonozaki-san. She would have been 13, right?
Something like that.
She was very young teenager.
Yeah.
Because if she's like 18 now,
He was a middle school kid.
then she was a middle school kid at the time. So an altercation with Mion. I'm trying to imagine what kind of altercation of a small child could possibly be involved in. Multiple altercations. Something comes to mind and I don't like it, so I'm gonna just move
Yeah.
on. Huh?
Something does come to mind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rather dark.
Yeah, something does come to mind, and it's pretty damn dark. Oishi-san had said before, Mion defied the damn project vehemently. Wasn't hard to imagine how she'd be if she got worked up. In the second year, the married couple who supported the project died in that accident. Oh, died in that accident, right? They had a daughter, and her name is Sadako Hojo-san. Okay, so that explains Sadako's family. See, I told you. Like, this is what I was saying. That, like, I need to know more about their families because this seems really sad.
Yeah, it does.
Right? Right?
And I like how it's been gradually drip feeding this stuff to us at a way that, like, if you'd been primed, could have been a thing like when it first came up. But now suddenly we've got the snap realization that, oh shit, the Hojos are those people? The ones that Sadako is also?
I will admit that I did not put together that they would have been Sadako's family. But I knew, like, I was asking the right questions.
You
but-
were.
Huh? Sadako meaning... Well, Sadako? Oishi-san's look told me that my voice was too loud. I realized it as well and quickly quieted down. The Shinto priest and his wife who died in the third year. See, their daughters, Rika Furude-san. That one, yeah.
Seems pretty obvious.
That one, it seemed obvious to me if you like thought about it for 2 seconds. And also explains why those two were living together. Rika-chan was... The housewife who died in the 4th year you know already, don't you? The step-on of Sadako Hojo-san. That one seems a little out of the way, but alright.
It does.
She was in her aunt and uncle's custody as she had lost both her parents in the accident. Oh, I see. Lived in the victim's house. I could tell my lips were getting dry. Didn't even have the wits to keep my mouth from hanging agape. Thought it was nothing but a bizarre incident, one that I could easily distance myself from, but clicking and clacking, it had snuck all the way to my feet. The one who done disappeared the 4th year, by the way, he was Sadako-san's older brother. So Satoshi was Sadako's older brother.
Yep. Sadako and Satoshi.
Yeah, okay. Wait, just a moment! Took everything I had to finally say that. I gulped down a glass of water and once again wiped my face with a napkin. I'm trying to determine whether or not that makes or breaks my theory that Rena trans. Because if so, Sadako would absolutely know about it.
Here's something else interesting about Rena. Has she come up as connected to any of these so far?
No, she hasn't.
Kind of weird.
And that would explain how she got connected if she was indeed Satoshi. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. But Ooshi-san was relentless. Instead of waiting for me to finish sorting out my feelings, he started speaking again. The last of the things I shouldn't have heard. All the victims seem to be connected to your group of friends. That has to be just a coincidence. Either that or they're all banding together because everything shitty keeps happening around them and they're like, we gotta help each other out because no one else will and we have no adults in our lives.
One wonders.
Yeah, although Rena does talk about having a mom, so... that would seem to break that. Or did we just assume that at one point?
I think Keiichi talked about Rena's mom.
Keiichi...
I don't know if Rena said much in
anything
response, because it was Keiichi teasing her over, did you make this or did your mom?
Right, so it was Keiichi who said that and asserted that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that... Okay, yeah, so it's just a bunch of... As I said, way back when, it's a bunch of girls from fucking broken-ass families who are taking care of each other because no one else will.
Gaggle of plucky orphans.
That's not, like... It's horrifying, but not in, like, a conspiracy kind of way. It's just tragic. They're just trying to take care of each other. And yeah, I am doubling down on Rena as Satoshi.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I'm
Good.
I've decided I'm doubling down on that, and which means they all know, but aren't dicks about it because
I mean, we all saw the tips about, but what's Rena's real name? Shut up, Keiichi.
Shut up, Keiichi. It's
Rena
not
is her real name. Rena is just Rena.
Rena. If they even said the fucking phrase. That's just be coincidence. Maebara-san, keep it down. Everyone's looking at you. Nihon and Sadako? Rika-chan? So what if they're connected? You're telling me all my friends? Couldn't be. It just couldn't be. But Rena is different, isn't she? She isn't connected with the victims at all. Rena Ryugu-san was living in a suburb of Ibaraki Prefecture up until last year. True, she hadn't directly met any of the victims. He said it in a roundabout way. Is he saying she's also connected? Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. Seems she went through her school building and broke all the windows. Rena did that? She broke all the windows at her school? That same silly Rena had? I couldn't even imagine it.
Broken glass. How cute.
Okay, so that does kind of put a big dent in the Rena being Satoshi thing, doesn't she? Okay, well, maybe I have to back off of that one. Seems that after her 3-day suspension, she ain't returning to school. Went to a neurologist and was diagnosed with dysautonomia. Was given weeks of counseling and medication. Dysautonomia. I wonder if it was something like a nervous breakdown. I'd heard that it happens to people who are really methodical or overly sensitive. Neither of those matched Rena's easygoing personality. You got Google for me?
Yeah. Dysautonomia, a dysfunction of the nerves that regulate non-voluntary body functions such as heart rate, blood pressure, and sweating.
Huh. How does that result in
So that just means your body's not doing a good job of doing the stuff it's normally doing subconsciously?
Stuff like tachycardia, insomnia,
Right.
fainting, anxiety, dizziness,
Okay.
all the sorts of stuff that the autonomic nervous system
Got it.
does for you. Hmm. That's what I got to say to that.
Fair enough. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all the conversations he had with Rena-san. And it shows up. And quite a bit at that. What did... I pressed forward carelessly. There couldn't be anything more for me to regret. She mentioned the word Oyashiro-sama. Wait, she was living in a different prefecture. Never
Yeah.
mind, that could still work.
Yeah.
Because Sadako would have had to move to be with her aunt and uncle. Right? And the aunt and uncle already had a kid. It just works? It just works?
Maybe.
It just works? Just tell me it just works, everyone. Please tell me it just works. Felt like someone's stone cold hand was caressing my back. Why had Rena spoken of Oyashiro-sama before she even came here? Seems that the Oyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost appearing in her house every night, standing over her pillow looking down at her. My mind froze. I couldn't process what I was being told. And a while after that, she moved to Hinamizawa. Right? She's not an outsider. Huh? According to their residency register, the Ryugu family used to reside there. Rena-san moved to Ibaraki right after she finished elementary school. My mind went completely blank. It was similar to the static you'd see on a blank TV channel. My ears began ringing as I lost all sense of comprehension. Maebara-san, are you all right? Shall we stop for now? Those words brought me back. I couldn't let it end here. Now I understand Rena, then. What about the last victim, Tomatake-san? Who was he connected with? Irritated, I let out one final reprisal. All of them. Have you forgotten Maebara-san? Didn't you spend the night of the festival together quite merrily? Quite a few of the officers saw you enjoying yourselves. Now there was nothing I could respond with. I fell silent as my brain turned to mush. We should get going. Maebara-san, did you take your afternoon medicine? I'd completely forgotten about the medicine I had gotten today until he said that. Got another glass of water, and we left the shop after I chugged it down. I'm never going back to Hooters again. We got in the car and returned to Hinamizawa via the rough road. Never really paid attention when I was on my bike, but did cars normally shake this much? It's almost as if the road was desperately trying to tell me something. Ba-dump. That big jolt was from the difference in elevation of the road when it changed from cement to dirt. I was certain that I heard Tomatake-san scream. I sat in silence, just letting myself be shaken by the car. I'll drop you off at your house, son. You missed school because you were ill, correct? My apologies for the long conversation. Why did you talk to me? I blurted out the question. Really just blurted it out. I didn't expect an answer. I did check with you first, didn't I? If we should just stop. Not that! Why did you reach out to me? I understood quite well that Oishi-san was investigating this string of suspicious incidents. But why was he telling me all of this? I knew nothing and I couldn't help. Everything he spoke of was news to me. First of all, what could I, having just moved here, possibly know? By chance, if there was a reason for him to reach out to me, then it would have to be that I looked suspicious to him, as I was part of my own circle of friends. I'm retiring this year. Plan on moving away after retiring as my grandmama wants. So while I'm still on the case, I want to bring the truth behind this incident here to light. So, Oishi-san, you suspect them, don't you? You suspect all of them. He didn't really give a response. Felt a little late, but I thought it was his way of showing a little bit of consideration for my feelings. This is mostly my intuition here from 30 years on this job. Maebara-san, you're the one who's in danger. Huh? I wanted to reply with, that was absurd, but in my downtrodden state, I couldn't bring myself to say it.
I'll be retiring this year, so I won't be at the Watanagashi next year. I want to settle things. In other words, he was insinuating that on the next Watanagashi, I might be the victim. I've been warned by the chief as well. Each incident in the string of cases has been solved, so don't bring it up again, or so I was told. This here is the pressure that I'm facing. Pressure from what? Someone in Hinamizawa. We arrived. Is this here fine? After some time, the car finally reached the path to my house. The clock read 2 p.m. I was surprised. So little time had passed since we ate. It was hot outside of the car. The chirping of the Higurashi hurt my ears. I won't mind if you just forget everything I told you today. Me and my banana soup. But I'm still going to keep investigating. I'll endure Yoshiro-sama's curse this year myself.
I need a Photoshop of Oishi in a banana costume now.
Yes, you do. You're saying I should contact you if anything happens. It's fine. Just contact me when you feel you have to, Maebara-san. I wasn't collected enough to understand his roundabout way of saying it. Be sure to take it easy. I'm sorry for throwing all this at you while you're taking the day off because you're sick. I didn't really give any sort of response. I'll always be on your side, kiddo. If nothing else, believe that. I'll be off for now. So what's his stake in this?
Yeah.
The police don't go after cold cases. The police don't go after cases that are solved. If they've got a solution on the book, if they've got it marked on the books as cleared and done, they have no incentive to keep investigating.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that he's got a personal interest in this.
Yeah.
So what is his angle? Why is he so desperate to see this cleared while he still has the resources of the police at his disposal?
I do wonder.
Yeah. Because again, this is not him being a selfless actor. He is trying to get... wants something that only Keiichi can give him. So, something's got to give.
And it's surprising how much he doesn't know, right? He's been investigating this for several years now. He is himself a local, though not from Hinamizawa.
I don't believe that he just found all that out after one night of looking. He knows more and he's just withholding it.
Maybe so.
Yeah, no, he doesn't find out all of that from one night of looking, especially with 1980s resources. That requires more time. He knows all of this, and he's parceling it out because it's important for Keiichi to feel indebted to him. Right? Keiichi needs to... If Keiichi feels indebted to him, like this adult is going off on a limb for him and finding out all this stuff and making him feel like he's inside on it, then he's going to feel indebted or ingratiated to Oishi. He's going to go out on more of a limb for him for whatever he actually needs Keiichi to do. At least that's what I assume. I mean, again, we're not even through the first chapter here. I don't know why I'm spending so much air on this. This is what you all wanted, right? You all want this part, the part where I'm... The tires crunched over the dirt road as the car made a U-turn and disappeared into a cloud of kicked-up dust. Felt like I was watching a boat, only throw me a lifesaver in shark-infested waters before disappearing into the distance. That was the first time I thought Oishi-san was being unfair. Telling me I was going to be the next victim, then just saying to contact him if something happened. It wasn't a criminal investigation. He was fishing, and I was just the bait dangling off the line. Would the fish be the perpetrator, or was it really just Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, the bait would be swallowed whole. Damn it. I don't want to die. And for some time, I could do nothing but stare at the puddle of water, left behind by the AC from the car. Oh!
Indeed.
Oh, this is good.
Getting good?
This is awesome.
Is he finally starting to get paranoid enough for you?
I mean, if he's going to be paranoid, he better damn do it right.
Yeah.
Let's drop a save right here, I think. Are y'all enjoying this so far?
I sure am.
I know you are. I hope you all are as well. Because we're having a great time. We'll see you all next time for more Moida Hour.
Hell yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.